Whoa, they dropping bombs on the cartel now? God damn.
The whole of South
It's
America
up.
is shaking right after a new video of U.S. forces slaughtering Venezuelan narco-terrorists hit the internet. But
Ooh, boy. God damn.
no matter what people say, the Trump administration
They got Call of
is
Duty
not
kill
backing
streaks on
down.
that
We
ass.
just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that.
How you know you wasn't even on the boat, Trump? Trump, you wasn't even on the boat. Stop lying, bro. It could have been some fisherman. He don't give a fuck. Y'all getting hit with a nuke.
It just happened moments ago, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that.
In fact, they're doubling down. More men, more firepower, and more muscle are being pushed into the region. We're talking about stealth F-35 fighter jets landing in Puerto Rico, joining a fleet of warships, destroyers, nuclear.
Man, what the cartel finna do against this? Now, I know the cartel got some shit, but hold on. We talking fighter jets? Nah, this ain't what y'all want. I'm trying to tell you.
Submarines and thousands of Marines already in position. And these Marines are not there on a picnic or photo op. They're carrying out intense live fire drills, storming beaches, and practicing amphibious landings in real time. Every move looks less like training and more like a drill.
Oh yeah, I see some shit like this. I'm cool. I'm good. Y'all can have all the drugs y'all want. I'm about to just go be a doctor or something. I'm finna push real medicine after this one. You shooting rockets at me? No, I'm good. I'm selling 3.5s from now on.
Dress rehearsal for a war, and that has got everyone asking, are these preparations just about chasing down cartel boats
Look
like
at that
Trump said,
shit.
or is the US actually getting ready to invade Venezuela?
Ew.
How we doing, Warriors? I think this might be the single most beautiful picture I have ever seen in my entire life. Looking out at these faces, looking out at this Caribbean, on a floating island of American power, on the front lines of defending the American homeland.
In the past, that meant Coast Guard arrest, but today it means the full
They
might of
got
the U.S.
packs.
military.
He's able to use the whole playbook from the
Man, they in jorts. Come on now. They serious about this shit. They pulling up no shoes, no socks with jean shorts on. Come on. They said any means possible.
wars, for example, to target them as imminent threats to the homeland.
It wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down.
President Nicolas Maduro has mobilized Venezuela's armed forces. Thousands of troops and militias are deployed across 284 so-called battlefronts. In Caracas, civilian volunteers are also training with rifles. 5 U.S. F-35 jets have landed in Puerto Rico. They touched down at the former Roosevelt Roads base in Cebu. The arrival is part of a deployment ordered by President Donald Trump.
We smoked a drug boat, and there's 11 narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean, and when other people try to do that, they're going to meet the same fate.
We have proof. All you have to do is look at
Ooh, he ain't just put y'all 6 feet under. He put y'all at the bottom of the ocean.
the cargo that was like it's spattered all over the ocean. Big bags of cocaine and fentanyl all over the place. And it was, plus we have recorded evidence that they were leaving.
What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them. So they were designated as what they are. They are narco-terrorist organizations. So the same information and the same intelligence mechanisms with maybe a higher focus was used to determine that a drug boat was headed towards eventually the United States. And instead of interdicting it on the president's orders, he blew it up. And it'll happen again. Maybe it's happening right now, I don't know. But the point is, the president of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. This one was operating in international waters, headed towards the United States to flood our country with poison. And under President Trump, those days are over.
So,
Hell yeah, y'all fucked up once y'all start bringing that fentanyl. We was cool on other shit. We wasn't really dying like that, but now you trying. Nah, that's where y'all fucked up. Y'all could have just kept it how it was going. Y'all was chilling, really.
probably remember.
They might have took a few shipments here and there, but y'all was chilling. Now y'all brought that Fetty and y'all done fucked up. Y'all done fucked up. Trying to tell you.
That earlier this month, President Trump ordered a lethal strike on a group of trendy Aragua smugglers out on the Caribbean Sea. We all saw the attack footage of the boat being shredded into pieces in the middle of the ocean. And here's what the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said right after the attack.
And it won't stop with just this strike. Anyone else trafficking in those waters who we know is a designated narco-terrorist will face the same fate.
Many people didn't take Hegseth seriously back then when he said all that. But just a few days later, the Department of Homeland Security dropped receipts.
There's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela.
This time, the Coast Guard intercepted a cartel vessel under an operation they called Pacific Viper. The officers took the smugglers, seized the dangerous drugs, but instead of simply impounding the boat, they made a decision that sent shockwaves across South America. They rigged the vessel with charges, and then Coast Guard gunners lit it up with machine guns until the vessel blew apart in the middle of the ocean.
Y'all doing the most. Y'all could have just threw a C4 on that music. And they really got submarines though. Like, dang, they going crazy.
The U.S. Coast Guard has seized nearly about 5,900 kilograms of cocaine in a fiery interception in the southern part of the Caribbean as part of Operation Pacific Viper. But the action comes just days after a U.S. military strike authorized by President Donald Trump destroyed a suspected Tren de Aragua drug boat, killing about 11 people. The Homeland Security officials confirmed that 7 suspected smugglers have been taken into custody following 3 separate interception operations.
Y'all wasting ammo. Just blow the boat up. Just blow the fucking boat up. Blow it up. Shooting in the water and shit.
That night alone, the U.S. Cutterstone carried out 3 separate interdictions, seizing nearly 13,000 pounds of narcotics and hauling in 7 suspected smugglers. But the real
13K. I know the cartel is shitty this night.
shocker came just a few days later when President Trump made this announcement in one of his late-night posts.
Saying, on my orders, the Secretary of War ordered a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel affiliated with a designated terrorist organization conducting narco trafficking in the U.S. Southcom area of responsibility. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was trafficking illicit narcotics and was transiting along a known narco trafficking passage en route to poison Americans. The strike killed 3 male narco-terrorists aboard the vessel, which was in international waters.
This time, the U.S. forces didn't bother intercepting the boat, making arrests, or seizing the drugs. The footage released after showed 2 angles of the attack, one in infrared and the other in regular view. You can see the boat racing across open waters until a sudden fireball blows it apart. Within seconds, the smuggler's journey ended in flames,
Who
and
they
the
had
U.S.
to
forces
fuck
didn't
back?
take a single casualty, So far, the United States has destroyed 3 boats on those waters, with a total of 13 casualties. Before now, the Coast Guard would have just
They calling
intercepted these
it
boats and
airstrikes and
arrested the crew, but
UAVs,
Trump is
all
simply
type
blowing
of
them
Call
up.
of Duty level shit.
And his reason? Well, you have to hear it from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
It doesn't work. Interdiction doesn't work. What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them.
Now, while the Trump administration has maintained that those men were narco-terrorists smuggling deadly drugs into the United States, Venezuela is telling a very different story. Maduro's regime insists they weren't traffickers at all. They claim those were innocent fishermen, men who went out into the waters looking for their daily bread and never came back.
Everyday Venezuelans who are trying, in one way or another, to go on with their day. It is a country that is still grappling with dramatic economic conditions, of course, and where most of the people, however they do, would like to see a change in government, at least here in Caracas. They are also very aware that the US has put pressure on Maduro in the past, and they're not believing that this time is any different. We were able to speak with a fisherman, for example. His name is Eduardo, and he's one of the people that actually need to take on his boat and go into the Caribbean Sea to try fish up, to bring food to the table for his family, frankly. This is what he told us.
Claro, sí me dio un poquito de nervio, pero...
You can be a bit nervous, of course, but we still have to go out fishing. Otherwise, what are we gonna eat? Authorities have not issued warnings to keep these boats at bay, and with Venezuela's economy still in dire straits, nobody can afford an idle day. Small-scale fishermen like Uloa normally stay within 20 nautical miles from the coast. They hardly risk encounters with the US flotilla, but still spend hours at sea without any comms. You stand up on the boat and look around, all you see is the sky and the sea.
That version of events has stirred anger inside Venezuela.
As a human being, I think it's very regrettable. I believe every life, all lives, have value and importance, no matter what country you're from or what political or religious party you belong to. It's regrettable, and it would be wonderful if there weren't so many wars. The best thing for the world would be for wars to disappear as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter if we're Venezuelan or American. I think we should value every life.
But it hasn't stopped Trump from standing firm.
Well, I would say this right away: stop sending Tren de Aragua into the United States. Stop sending drugs into the United States. We knocked off actually 3 boats, not 2, but you saw 2. And the problem is there are very few boats out in the water. There are not a lot of boats out in the water. I can't imagine why. Not even fishing boats. Nobody wants to go take a fish. So it's one of those things. But I would say to him very strongly, stop sending people from your prisons into our country.
He points to the footage of drugs on board, intercepted communications, and his administration's designation of the Tren de Aragua.
Yeah, that ain't no fishing boat, bro. That is a whole sub. Y'all seen that? This is a submarine. Y'all got fish in the submarine? Fuck on.
And his administration's designation of the Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization. From Washington's perspective, that's all the justification needed. Even if those men were traffickers, just like Trump says, the media still has a lot of questions about the legality of the attacks.
Now, Trump is calling them narco-terrorists, but the fact is there is no evidence yet. No court has indicted these sailors. No video proof has been presented.
Age cap, gone. And Maduro is not having it. In fact, what he did next is something Russia or China wouldn't dare do, and it would take this confrontation to a whole new level. Not long after those boat strikes, Maduro pushed the limits when 2 Venezuelan F-16s swooped dangerously close over the USS Jason Dunham, a US Navy destroyer on patrol in international waters.
Y'all better not do it. Y'all better not do it. I'm trying to tell you.
Now, to some people, that
Stay in
might
your
look like
lane.
nothing more than a flyover, but in reality, it was a bold challenge to US military power.
What happens if Venezuela flies jets over US naval vessels again?
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can You or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do.
For Trump, that was the red line, and his response was just as bold.
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do. All right? Sure.
And he didn't just stop at words. To make his point clear, he gave the order to reopen the Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Ceiba, Puerto Rico. This base had been closed since 2004, abandoned and left to rot, but Trump just brought it back to life. Over the last several weeks, locals have been spotting heavy U.S. aircraft moving in, massive transport planes unloading equipment, helicopters flying overhead, and the most eye-catching arrival was the stealth F-35 fighter jets. Trump had ordered 10 of them to the base, and within days, Reuters confirmed that 5 of them were already parked on the runway. Even now, the Trump administration still maintains that these are all aimed at targeting smuggling networks and narco-terrorists in South America. But here's something you guys need to understand. F-35s are not the kind of jets you send after drug boats. You don't need advanced stealth technology and radar-evading fighters to chase down smugglers. These bad boys are built to dominate contested airspace.
Yeah, it's something deeper than that.
The
Hold
only
on.
reason Trump would send them here is if he's preparing for an invasion, because right now, that's exactly what it looks like. And speaking of invasion, U.S. Marines are carrying out full amphibious landing drills on Puerto Rican beaches. You can see Ospreys shuttling troops and gear between pads, while CH-53 heavy-lift helicopters hauled sling loads through the air. Blackhawks move non-stop across the island, ferrying personnel as beach assault drills unfolded in broad daylight. Units practice the same sequence again and again. Approach, hit the sand, secure the lane, push inland. Meanwhile, at Muniz Air National Guard Base in Carolina, air crews staged alongside the incoming stealth fighters. Puerto Rico is used for this exercise because it lets commanders rehearse real timelines and real distances on terrain that looks and feels like Venezuela's coast. That way, if Trump ever gives the order, the muscle memory is already built. Now, to understand how serious this is, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth quietly flew into Puerto Rico on an unannounced trip while all this was going on. He visited Muniz Air National Guard Base in Carolina, where he was welcomed by Puerto Rico's governor before addressing the troops.
The American homeland. Make no mistake about it. What you're doing right now, it's not training. This is the real world exercise on behalf of the vital national interests of the United States of America to end the poisoning of the American people.
The reason I like the name War Department so much is not because I love war. I don't, and neither do you. It's because I seek and love peace. And those who love and long for peace must prepare for war. We are in the strength department of peace through strength. Other folks will make sure that the diplomatic relations land right where they should, and our commander-in-chief is focused on that. He is a peace president, but he's asked me, he's asked General Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who's with us here today as well, to ensure that we have the most ready, most capable military the world has ever seen.
So now, you understand what is really going on and how things could escalate from here, especially if Venezuela makes one wrong move. But guess what? Maduro and his men are not keeping quiet. So, while Washington was stacking up all that firepower in Puerto Rico, Maduro was also trying to show that he would not be intimidated. He personally supervised massive military drills, where he mobilized more than 2,500 soldiers on La Orchila Island, right in the Caribbean. His defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, even went on state television to brag.
You will see a deployment of air defense assets,
It
including
don't matter what y'all do. Y'all better have a draft. That's the only thing on, man, force everybody. I'm talking about kids. Y'all gonna need everybody.